Hello everyone, I hope you all are doing well. So, without further ado, let's begin with today's topic, which is nothing but data interpretation. So, before starting, just tell me one thing. Do you people agree that every activity that man indulges in generates information about various factors like magnitude or scope or quality of the particular activity which suppose we are talking about? Yes, it definitely does. In fact, this is true no matter what the activity is. Data is generated from each and every activity. Like suppose I'm going somewhere and I'm going on a vehicle. So obviously data is generated from that as well. So suppose this is a car, okay? Let's think this is a car. This is a carriage or something, anything. So this is moving from a place A to B. So when it's moving from a place A to B, then also it's generating data. How? It's moving from place A to B, so it's taking some amount of time to actually go from a place which is A to B. Like suppose place A is your Delhi. So it's taking some time to go from Delhi to say Chennai. Alright, so it's taking some time. So that time is what? That time is data. Alright, so each and every activity generates data. For example, during a movement of a car from Delhi to Lucknow, as I've already told you, like I told you from Delhi to Chennai, there is constant data which is generated in form of, you can say, like time taken, the speed of travel, acceleration, deceleration data, the temperature of the car, number of revolutions of the wheel, and what else, just think about it. Yeah, it can also be fuel consumption data, the cost data, etc. So there can be n number of things which we can actually interpret from this whole activity. Similarly, data can also be generated in various other activities, like for example running of a fan, making of a telephone call, the consumption of food, running of a business establishment, etc. And present day society is oriented on this information. Like for example, if so and so person goes to gym, I'm sure many of you might be doing gymming and everything. So you guys know that you have to take a certain amount of calories, and these calories are what? These calories are basically the amount of food that you want to consume, the amount of food that you have to consume so that you can gain muscle or you can lose some amount of fat. So this is all data. You have to calculate according to the proportions of your body, according to the kind of activity which you are doing, and this is basically data. All right, so let's move forward. What is data? I'm not going to go into the definition of what is data, because I suppose all of you know this, that what is in particular data. So let's go to another topic. But before actually going to another topic, I would like to tell you one thing. Like suppose if I say that, okay, so and so number is a data. Like suppose if I say that, all right, I'm taking a number and that number is 10 and this number is data. But I cannot interpret anything from a number 10. I cannot interpret. If you people say that, all right, if we are talking about data and you are giving me a number 15, then I cannot interpret anything from 15. Nothing. Unless and until you give me some parameters on the basis of which I can interpret what this number 10 stands for. Is this in terms of distance? Is this in terms of temperature? Is this in terms of time? So I cannot interpret anything if you people are not giving me any parameters on which this number 10 is based upon. Next, we are going to study about the nature of data. And in nature of data, I'm going to exactly explain what I just told, that what are the parameters on the basis of which we are going to study all of this. So what are the parameters? We are going to study these parameters and we basically are going to understand that what all has to happen in this. So numerical value by itself represents nothing and describes absolutely nothing. Thus, if we imagine a number, say suppose I take a number 7. Okay, suppose I take a number 7 here, 7 January is given. So let's suppose I take a number 7 and I just exclude January 2022 from it. So if I'm taking only a number 7, then 7 itself describes nothing. The number starts to gain some significance when it is qualified by saying that its temperature or weight or anything else. However, just by saying that the number represents temperature doesn't complete the description, and I think all of you agree on this. All right, it has to be further qualified by specific descriptions. Like for example, say the temperature on 7th January 2022, which was already provided here, 7th January 2022, in Chandigarh at 2 a.m. was something, say 7 degrees Celsius or something. Alright, so it's going to represent that. Thus, three facts basically get attached to a number to describe it completely. Suppose a number is x. So this number is basically representing the temperature. So that is why this number is important, because this number is actually telling me that, okay, this number is actually representing something. It refers to a place called Chandigarh, because what I am saying is that x amount of temperature is of a place, and that place is what? That place is Chandigarh. And it also refers to a date of 7 January 2022 and time of 2 a.m. So that means I've fixed a certain amount of parameters, and because I've fixed these parameters, then only I can say that this number makes some sense. Because in the initial slide itself I said ki theek hai, I've taken a number 10, and if I have taken a number 10, then I cannot say what it means, what it stands for, why I am using only 10, why not 9, why not 8, why not 11, why only 10. So if I'm providing certain amount of parameters to it, then only the number is going to make sense. Alright, but however, with these qualifiers itself, the magnitude of the value is not imaginable. Alright, the magnitude which I am talking about is still not imaginable. And why is it still not imaginable? Like, I would say that what is missing here? What is missing? Why isn't it imaginable? You have to answer. The natural question that will arise in all of your mind is going to be, what does the number 7 describe? As in, the temperature at 2 a.m. on 7th January 2022 in Chandigarh represents in terms of its magnitude. So if I'm talking in terms of magnitude, then what is the magnitude of it? So without the unit, you cannot say anything. Correct? So that means unit provides meaning to the data, and data without unit is meaningless. So either I'm going to talk in terms of degrees Celsius, or I'm going to talk in terms of, you can say, what are the other units? You can say Fahrenheit or any other unit, XYZ unit, whatever you are talking about. You are talking in terms of distance, so it can be meters or kilometers, or if you're talking in terms of, volume, it can be anything. There are so many units, you can use anything. So that is why unit provides meaning to data, and data without unit is just meaningless. So the information provided does not give us an idea about the magnitude of the temperature. So we need to further actually qualify the number by attributing it to a unit. Thus, if the number is further qualified by the unit, suppose I have taken degrees Celsius, so it's further qualified by this unit degrees Celsius, then it suddenly makes sense to me, and it obviously is going to make sense to you people as well. The introduction of the unit in fact automatically qualifies it as temperature. Like, for example, if I'm not saying that 7 is temperature of a particular place, and suppose I'm only saying that, alright, what is 7? 7 is, say, suppose if I take a place, suppose Delhi. So if I say that Delhi has 7 degrees Celsius, and I do not mention what that 7 degrees Celsius is, then what I'm saying, obviously the person to whom I'm saying this will assume that, alright, she's talking in terms of temperature, so that is what I'm talking about. And also, if I have a unit, then I can compare it. Compare what? Compare temperature of two places, temperature of, say, Delhi and temperature of Lucknow, temperature of, say, Delhi, temperature of Chandigarh. So I can compare the temperature of various places if I have a unit. Now, I cannot compare temperature of two places when they are in different units, in degrees Celsius or in Fahrenheit. So if I'm not going to provide unit, then I cannot, establish a ground for comparison. So establishing a ground for comparison is very, very important. So finally, the qualifiers can be seen as kind of pointers to the number, and we conclude that for any number to make sense, it should have what? It should have a unit which qualifies its magnitude, like I just talked about. The unit, when attached to the number, automatically adds sense to the number. We have just seen that 7 degrees Celsius, or in terms of, you can say, Fahrenheit as well, you can do the same. A secondary set of qualifiers or pointers which, when associated with data, helps us to convert the data in concrete information that helps us in decision making as well. Alright, so secondary set of qualifiers, like for example, if I'm talking about place, if I'm talking about anything else, these are the secondary set of qualifiers which are basically going to help me when I'm going to talk in terms of these things. Okay, hence we have seen that the number 7 or the number 10 or the number anything, suppose x, makes sense when it's qualified as what? 7 degrees Celsius was the temperature of Chandigarh on 7th January 2022 at 2 a.m. So now that number has a complete meaning, it's fulfilled. Or it can equally have been qualified as, suppose 7 crore was the sales turnover of a company, say ABCD Limited's, in the year 2021. I hope this is clear. I know it's a lot of theory, but before actually approaching to the main part of DI, that is your tables and pie charts and this and that, you need to understand why are we doing data. Like data को solve करना सबको आता है, right? But what is the importance of data? Nobody knows. I won't say nobody knows, but very few people actually, feel the thing that why data is important. Why are we studying data? And, in general, what is data? Everybody knows that, okay, ये numbers हैं, this is data. But क्या कभी किसी ने ये सोचा कि अगर ये quantifiers नहीं होंगे, then what? Is that number presenting something or not? Are the quantifiers which are given, are they making sense or not? I cannot say temperature of a certain place is 7 milliliter. Temperature and ml. So if certain quantifiers are basically given, certain qualifiers basically are given, then I cannot say that all right, are they correct or not? I cannot make assumptions on that basis. So I have to understand what it is, and many people skip this part. That's why they make mistake. So just understand it properly. I know it's a lot of theory, I really know, but let's just understand this properly so that we do not make questions on the exam day. If we are going to have the ground understanding of what the topic is and ground understanding of what actually we are dealing with, then only we can solve problems without mistakes. So let's continue. Next is standard common pointers. So there are some standard common pointers, which is your time, place or geographical pointers, monetary value, temperature, number of units consumed, sold, produced, etc. So there's nothing to be discussed about. These are just, standard common pointers. Now, okay, there is this question. If I talk about, say, time is given, let's talk about time. Okay. So what are the units which are basically used for time? Can anybody answer this question? I know you people know this. What are the units? And I know I cannot hear what you are saying. But at least if you have notebooks in front of you, you can write it down and you can cross-check whatever I'm saying. Is that written in your notebook or not? So right now, just pause the video, take pen and paper, write down all the units which you know of time. And then let's check whatever I'm telling you, is that written in your notebooks or not? All right. So I hope you people have paused, you people have written. So let's see. So for time, I would say, it can be what? It can be decades. Okay, the handwriting, let's just, okay. Decades. It can also be what? Years. Then quarters. Months. Weeks. Days. Hours. Then of course seconds. Minutes, days. So I hope you have understood this, etc. Obviously you cannot just this. So this is what it is. Okay, these are the units of time in which you can work, and obviously there are more. Similarly, there are going to be units for place and geographical pointers, and there are going to be other things as well, like your monetary value, your temperature. In temperature, you can write your Celsius and Fahrenheit, and number of units consumed, sold, produced, etc. So there are going to be units in which you are going to deal with. And these units are very, very important, as we have seen, because if we do not have units, then a number cannot make any sense. We cannot compare, most importantly. We cannot compare two values. And if you cannot compare two values, then I feel that data interpretation kind of become redundant. Because अगर मैं आपको data दे दूँ, but you do not have any basic ground to actually compare the set of data or compare any two numbers, तो आप उस डेटा का करोगे क्या? आपको कैसे पता चलेगा कि कौन सी प्लेस का टेम्परेचर इज एक्चुअली हायर और लोअर देन विच प्लेस? आपको कैसे पता चलेगा कि कोई कार की एक्सेलरेशन इज गुड और बैड? आपको कैसे पता चलेगा कि मैं किस स्पीड पे वॉक कर रही हूँ और आप किस स्पीड पे रन कर रहे हो? आपको कैसे पता चलेगा हाउ मेनी कैलोरीज यू आर कंज्यूमिंग एंड how much more you have to consume in order to gain muscle or lose fat? So if there is no ground to compare, I feel the data becomes redundant. If you feel anything else, then yeah, you might explain it to me then. Okay, so let's move forward. And now we are on variables. What are variables and why are variables? Okay, so simple. Now variables is basically another way to look at data and numerical values. Very correct. A variable is a quantity or an attribute whose value is not fixed. We know by the name variable itself, I can say that the value is not fixed or is changeable, right? And can change with the change in some of the underlying factors. Most data represent variables that can change their values, and I am very much agree with that statement. As an example, I would say we can think of temperature of a place as a variable. So I am giving you an example, and that example is of temperature. So is temperature, oh my god, I'm sorry. So is temperature of a particular place changeable or not? Is temperature a variable or not? Can anybody answer this? Is temperature variable or not? Of course temperature is variable. If temperature of a particular place is 25 degrees Celsius, do you feel that the temperature of that place is going to be 25 degrees Celsius throughout the year, throughout 365 days? No, this cannot happen. The temperature is going to go up, the temperature is going to go down. It can be 24.9, it can be 25.1, it can vary. So that means the value of temperature is not fixed. And if the value of something is not fixed, then that means that thing is what? Changeable, and that is your variable. Alright, so let's come to types of variables. There are two variables which we are dealing here. One is your discrete and one is your continuous. Now what is discrete, what is continuous, we are going to talk about this. So alright, let me just take another pen. Let's take green for some change. So what is a discrete one and what is a continuous one? So discrete is variables which only have discrete value, change and have no in between values. Like for example, in discrete, if I talk about year, alright, so year can be 2009 or year can be, you can say 2021, 2022, 2022. Can any year be 2021.5? No, any year cannot be this. Year can only be in a discrete format. Whereas when I talk about continuity, when I talk about continuous variables, these are basically those variables which change continuously. For example, continuous variables can be temperature. Alright, so temperature can be 25 degrees Celsius, it can be 24.9, it can be 25.1, it can be anything. Oh, alright, it can be anything. So basically temperature can be continuous and discrete can be what? Discrete is what? So sorry, temperature can be continuous, but year is basically your discrete. So how can I say that a particular thing is discrete or a particular thing is continuous? We have understood this, but let's just see their graphs before moving forward. Okay, let's just see the graphs of these things before actually moving forward, and then we are going to study another topic. All right, so the thing is how the graph of your discrete or continuous variable look like. Simple, let's see. In फटाफट देख लेते हैं discrete या continuous. I hope you people know this. I know you people know this, but still. अब discrete का कैसे होगा? Discrete का इस तरह से graphs होंगे. Why? Because those things have a particular value. Those things have particular value. They do not have these in-betweens. They do not have these in-betweens. Those things basically have discrete values. They do not have in-betweens. Therefore, their graph is going to be in discrete format. Whereas when I talk about continuous, their graph is going to be continuous because they have in-betweens. So your temperature is going to look like this. If I say I have to plot a curve of temperature versus time, it's going to be continuous. Whatever it's going to be continuous. Whereas if I'm plotting, suppose you can say sales versus your year. So now year is going to be in discreted form. So like for example, it's 2009. So its sale is going to be some particular value. So here, 2010, its sale is going to be some particular value here. So it's going to be in discreted formats. Whereas your temperature, as you can see here, the graph of temperature is going to be a continuous thing. And this graph is nothing but this is your XY curve. And you're going to study this. You're also going to study about the bar charts. You're also going to study about your pie charts. So what is a pie chart here? What is a pie chart? What is a bar curve? What is your XY curve? All of this is going to come, and all of this you are going to study. So now, quick, फटाफट से let's revise. हमें पता है what are variables, we know what are types of variables, discrete and continuous. We can give examples of discrete and continuous variables. We know how the graphs of discrete and continuous variables look like. Fantastic. Let's move forward now. Need for capturing data. Now you people are going to tell me that what is the need? What is the need of capturing a data? Okay, let me give you an example and let's understand this with the help of an example itself. Okay. Now suppose you are manager of a particular company, and as a manager or as a person who is in decision making situation in any XYZ organization, you will be required to make a critical decision, right? And based on the data report which is given to you through various channels. Hence, your ability to interpret the data and draw out information to improve the decision making will go a lot towards the achievement of organization's objective, and this I feel is very, 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 very crucial. Therefore, for making any future analysis, we need to know the past trends, which is only possible when we capture the data. Okay, now I'm going to give you another example. This example was basically related if you are a manager or anything. Now, if I'm going to give you an example of like stock exchange. So what is the need of capturing data when I talk in terms of your stock exchange? When I'm talking in terms of stock exchange, तो आपने देखा होगा कि stocks का curve ऊपर नीचे चलता रहता है. So if you want to invest in any company or if you want to buy shares of any company, how are you supposed to decide कि किस company के shares अच्छे हैं? How are you going to buy the shares of a particular XYZ company? कौन सी company अच्छा perform नहीं करी? How? You are basically going to see the past trends of the company. You are going to see the present trends कि at present आज की date में उस company के shares कैसे बिक रहे हैं, या फिर past trends के according how the shares have gone up or down. You are going to see this particular trend. And how are we supposed to see this particular trend? Only when we have captured some amount of data. So if we have some amount of data, then only I can say that alright, this company is doing good. Okay, this company is not doing good. Alright, I can buy shares of this company. I can buy shares of say Britannica. I can buy shares of say MRF. I cannot buy shares of say ABCD Limiteds. So this is how we deal, because we have data. That is why we need data, because a lot of things work on data. And like for example, if I talk in terms of calories itself, another example, if I talk in terms of calories, if you're a gym person, you go to gym, you want to build some muscles, you need to know exactly what that 1 spoon of peanut butter is going to do to your diet. You basically have to find the calories which is in 1 tablespoon of peanut butter and what that is going to do to the muscle mass which you actually aim to gain. Alright, so what is that? That is data. You are increasing your calories, you are going on a lean bulk or you are going on a bulk, you are increasing your calories. You are actually doing this because you have an idea of the data which is there. Okay, so that is why capturing data is so important. That is why managers often capture data and they often, take analysis of all these curves which we were talking about, and that is how things proceed. I hope you people understood this. I know there is a lot of information available, but still just try to make sense of it. Then only, your tables and charts and all these kinds of things are going to be very, very interesting, because you know why we are doing this. You will know कि ठीक है हम tables क्यों पढ़ रहे हैं यार, मतलब why, क्यों अपना time waste कर रहे हैं हम इतना important, क्यों मैं XY curve पढ़ रही हूँ, why, what is the need of doing this. XY graph में 5th 6th class से बच्चे पढ़ लेते हैं that okay, this is x axis, this is y axis, and this is how a curve is basically plot. But how am I supposed to know that this curve is actually important, and मतलब like हमें कैसे पता चलेगा? This is how we get to know, and this is why it is actually important. Next is what is data interpretation. So it's exactly what I talked about. It's exactly जो मैंने अभी पूरा explain किया है. So I do not think there is a need to explain it again, but still let's just read the definition for the sake of reading it. The interpretation of data is the process through which inferences are drawn about the data available for analysis. Now, what is data interpretation? Now the thing is, suppose I have data. I have a lot of data. But will that data make any sense if I'm not interpreting that data? If I have data, all right, and I'm not interpreting that data, will that data make any sense? No. So if data is important, then data interpretation is also important. So what is data interpretation? The interpretation of data is basically the process through which inferences are drawn about data available for analysis. Okay, or in other words, I could say the process of drawing inferences and conclusions through the interpretation of data is what DI is all about, which is your data interpretation. So this is data interpretation. Now, okay, some people will feel, yaar, ye DI kya hai? What is this? What is this American term? Oh my god, what is DI? Data interpretation. Do not get confused. Many a time short forms are used. Do not feel ये foreign term कहाँ से आ गई? DI is nothing but data interpretation. As simple as that. So let's move forward. Okay, organization and presentation of data. Now only I said, suppose you are manager of a company and you have a lot of data of the sales and purchases, whatever happened. क्या आपके पास टाइम होगा इतना सारा डेटा पढ़ने के लिए? आपने एक्सेल शीट बनाई हुई है, क्या आपके पास टाइम है इतना सारा डेटा पढ़ने के लिए? नो. दैट इज वेयर ऑर्गेनाइजेशन एंड प्रेजेंटेशन ऑफ डेटा कम्स हैंडी. दैट इज वेयर देयर इज नीड टू ऑर्गेनाइज एंड प्रेजेंट डेटा. नाउ द थिंग इज that one chart or a graph gives at least 10 times more information than one page of words. अगर सपोज मैं यही जो भी इंफॉर्मेशन मुझे एक पैराग्राफ से मिलनी है, आई एक्सप्लेन इट विद द हेल्प ऑफ से एन XY कर्व. So if there is a manager of a company or if there is any XYZ person, he or she is going to see this graph and ekdam se she'll get to know that okay, this is what they are talking about. Or if I say I draw a pie chart or bar graph, say I draw bar graphs. So एकदम से देखते ही people are going to actually think कि oh अच्छा, this is what we are talking about. This is what we are talking about. And it saves a lot of time because making comparisons, making decisions, doing a lot of activities, it depends upon the data. And if I know how to organize and how to present my data in the most efficient manner using these things, then I can take quick decisions without any failure. I won't say without any failure, there might be a few failure, but at least बहुत ज़्यादा ऐसी mistakes हैं जो काफ़ी ज़्यादा कम हो जाएंगी. So we know what are, so quickly let's फटाफट से review these things and be done with this thing. Okay, so what is your tabular representation? Nothing but in form of tables. So if I have given anything in form of tables, that is what my tabular representation. Okay, what are bar charts? These are your bar charts in form of your bars. What is XY chart? XY chart is this one, this XY curve which I drew. All right. Then what we are talking about? We are talking about pie charts. Pie chart is this circular thing with sectors and segments and everything. What is caseless? Caseless is nothing but it's all your information is given in a paragraph format and you on your own have to convert that in form of tables so that you can answer certain questions. That is your caselets. Then is miscellaneous charts, some other form of charts. And now we have done data interpretation. So quickly let's review in 10 seconds what we have done. We basically discussed what is data, then what is the nature of data, then we discussed about some standard common pointers, about what is a variable, about discrete and continuous variables, then need for capturing data, what is data interpretation, and organization and presentation of data at the end. I hope you people understood this. I know it's a lot of theory, but it was very, very crucial before you actually begin your DI journey. Because after viewing this video, you people are going to feel ki acha, this is the importance of data and this is the importance of data and data interpretation. Now let's see how tables work. Now your tables and bar charts and XY charts are going to be more interesting, because you know that these things are actually used in management very, very much. So I hope you people found this video very, very interesting, and I hope you people are going to watch another video which is going to be most probably of tables, but we will see what we are going to study. We will see that whether we are going to study XY charts or bar charts or pie charts, and just stay tuned with EduRev. Thank you.